know, we could probably spend the rest of the service talking about his grace and his mercy because it makes no sense that God hasn't changed his mind about me because I changed my mind about me. What kind of God is this that you would still believe that I'm fearfully and wonderfully made? What kind of God is this that you would still allow me to partner with you to do something in the earth? What kind of God is this that you would not reject my worship? I came to you in filthy rags and you cleaned me up. You turned me around. You placed my feet on solid ground. God, you must believe something about me that I don't believe about myself. God, help me to believe what you believe about. So powerful is God's belief in us. Regardless of what we've gone through, that even when Jesus was resurrected and spent 40 days on the earth, he went out of his way to go get Peter, who had denied him 3 times. He had to go get Peter because Peter had gone back to fishing. But he had to go get Peter to let Peter know that even though you denied me, even though you made a mistake, I want you to understand that I still want you to feed my sheep. Oh, God, that's real good. Even though you denied me, even though you messed up, even though you disqualified yourself, I want you to know that I still believe that thing that I believed about you before you ever messed up, before you ever made a mistake. You see, they don't preach this all the time because they don't want you to take grace for granted. But it ought to be said every now and then that God still believes in you, that God still believes that you're the one he can partner with. I know you messed up, but I hear God saying you can still break that generational curse. I know you've been betrayed, but I want you to understand that God says, I still believe in you. I know you've been addicted. I know you've been heartbroken. I know you've been outside, but I hear God saying, I still believe in you. I still believe you can get your act together. I still believe that we can let glory invade the earth through you. I still believe in you. I still believe. I still believe. I still believe. I still want to make your heart my home. I still want to make your spirit my dwelling place. God, don't you know I'm depressed? God, don't you know I'm dirty? God, don't you know I'm filthy? God says I got so much glory that it doesn't matter who you are. All that matters is who I am. I still believe in you. And if you ever mess around and start believing what God believes about you, you won't have to worry about behavior modification because you will be so obsessed with figuring out what else does God know about you that you won't have time for foolishness. You won't have time to let somebody waste your time. You can only be connected to me if you will help me dig into what God has put down on the inside of me. Because relationship with God is not behavior modification. It is heart transformation. If he ever gets a hold of your heart for real, you won't even have a taste for the things you used to have a taste for. If he ever gets a hold of your heart for real, you won't even feel comfortable having the same conversations you used to have. If he ever gets a hold of your heart for real, can't explain what happened. All I know is I just started believing what God believes about me. Everybody wants to know, when was the turning point? When did everything change? Give me the manual. Give me the tip. I don't even know what to tell you. I just once was lost, but now I'm found. I just started believing what God believed about me. It started on the inside, and it showed up on the outside. And while everyone else wants to show you how to fix your outsides, I want to challenge you to come to the potter's house where we're going to ask God what needs to be changed on the inside. You come any way you are, baby. You won't leave the same way you came in. You don't even know it, but the person you're sitting next to is going through a makeover. No glam, no hair, no makeup. It's happening on the inside of them. There's some people in this room who
When Sunday Scaries sneak in, squash them with Pacific. Coffee, feeling TGI Sunday.
Your crack-side view mirror? Our Gorilla Ultimate Epoxy for the toughest jobs on planet Earth.
In a hospital, every second counts. Our caregivers provide critical care and can give patients another chance at life. We're here every hour of every day for every patient. Corporate health insurers make it harder for you to receive the care you need. 62% of patients report having their care delayed by corporate health insurers, while insurance companies make record profits. Tell Congress to hold corporate health insurers accountable.
This is our future, Mom. GoDaddy Aero creates a logo, website, even social posts in minutes.
Oh, AI. AI like it. Who wants to come see the future?
Get your business online in minutes with GoDaddy Aero.
My job is to make you hungry to believe what God believes about you. Because you cannot be who you are called to be in the earth unless you believe what God believes about you. You cannot break that generational curse unless you believe what God believes about you. You cannot do it in your own might. You cannot do it in your own power. It's going to take the Spirit of God. Which means you're going to have to believe differently. Oh. Your belief determines your actions. I can tell what you believe based on how you act. And while most people want you to act different, God wants you to believe different. Oh, so strategic is our God. And he doesn't just allow Jesus to enter the earth. He sends a forerunner who preaches repentance, which quite literally means to change your mind. Because he recognizes that he's got a position of people to believe differently. So that when Jesus comes, he doesn't have to work on getting you to believe different and act different. So concerned with our belief as God that John 3:16 tells us, for God so loved the world, that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believes, he recognizes that if they are going to be effective in being connected to him, that they're going to have to be willing to confront their beliefs. What you believe plays a huge role in your actions. I get a lot of communication from people who are trying to maybe leave toxic relationships. And they're like, how do I leave? When do I leave? Tell me what to do. And you can't really tell them anything that they don't already know. You just, if you ask me, then you probably know. But what I ask them instead is, what is it that you believe about what you deserve, about who you are or who you aren't, that has made you stay in a relationship that you know you need to get out of? Do you not believe that you can do anything without this person? Do you not believe there's always a belief connected to an action? I prove it to you in the Bible. I thought that when the serpent was in the garden, that his goal was to change what they believed about God. And based on his questions, he did certainly have an agenda. Did God really say? In my opinion, it seemed like he was trying to get them to change what they believed about God. But then as the verse continues in Genesis 3, it says that they ate from the fruit. And when they ate from the fruit, their eyes were opened. And when their eyes were opened, they saw that they were naked. So they put on fig leaves. So while I do believe that the serpent wanted to change what they believed about God, I also see that he changed what they believed about themselves. Because all of a sudden they had no problem being naked, but now they see themselves differently. And because they see themselves differently, they now have fig leaves because the enemy was trying to change what they believed about themselves. The enemy may not be able to take your faith from you because you had a praying grandmother, because you grew up in church, because you know all these sermons. So he won't mess with your belief in God. What I will mess with instead is what you believe about yourself. Because I need you to not believe what God believes about you. Because if you were to believe what God believes about you and you believe in God, you will be a threat to my kingdom. So what I'm going to do instead is put images in the culture and images in your family that make you question what God believes about you. If I can change the way you see yourself, I don't even have to change the way you see God. Yeah. I can tell you that you can tell what God believes about you by what he commands you to do. Sometimes God gives us, he drops something in our spirit. And yet we feel inadequate because we don't see ourselves the way that God sees us. But the mere fact that he put it in our spirit is a sign that he wants to bring it out from us. God, I wish I could say that better. In Genesis 1, when God says, let the earth bring forth fruit, he's not asking the earth to do something blindly. He knows what he put in the earth. God doesn't ask you to do something that he has not pre-installed you with the ability to bring forth. The earth brought forth fruit immediately because the earth, all the earth had to do was be who God called the earth to be. Oh, I wish I could say that better. When he looked at the ocean and he told the ocean it's time to put some fish in there and it's time to put some whales and some salmon in there, the earth didn't have to go scrambling trying to figure out how do I do what God has called me to do, because God said I already put everything you need inside of you. All you have to do is be obedient to what I called you to do. I don't know who you are in this room, but I want you to understand that God will never ask you to do something that he has not already given you the ability to partner with him and bring forth. I know he told you to start the business. I know he told you to break the generational curse. I know you're wondering how he's going to pull it out of you. But I want you to know that God would never ask you to do it if he didn't already put it inside of you. You serve a God who knows what he put inside you. He didn't ask me to be an athlete. He didn't ask me to be a swimmer. He didn't ask me to do some things. But one thing he asked me to do was to preach this gospel. And I said, God, I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't have what it takes. I don't know if I'm qualified enough, if I'm eloquent enough. And all while I was talking, God was just nodding his head. Because God says, I know what I put inside of you. If you get you out of the way, then my glory can come up out of you. If you get you out of the way, then my power can flow through you. So I'm not depending on me. I'm depending on what God put inside of me. I'm taking his command as a sign that everything he wants to do through me, he already put in me. So I'm not going to ask you to do something that I haven't given you the ability to accomplish. So I got to protect my belief in what God says about me. That's all you got to do. You have to create an environment that protects the belief that God has about who you are. That's why you got to be careful who you engage with. That's why you got to be sure about where you go to church. That's why you got to be sure about what you're listening to. because I'm trying to protect this belief. Because I've seen it slip through my hands before. Worship is a weapon against the things that are trying to rob me of my ability to believe what God believes about my faith, about my gift, about my talent, about my anointing. Worship is my weapon that helps me to protect what God put inside of me. If we do not protect our belief, we will find ourselves in a situation similar to where we find Saul in my text. When I find Saul in my text, he is not the same Saul that we see in 1 Samuel chapter 9. Oh, man. I'm going to come back to that. I forgot a point, but I'm going to flow with the Holy Ghost. But Lord, that was a good point. Help me. If it makes sense, we'll go back to it. Saul, he fails as king because he was unable to protect his belief. 1 Samuel chapter 10, verse 9, I didn't give this today. First of all, context, and I know most of you are Bible scholars, but for those of us who are just like learning, I'm going to break this down for you. The children of Israel are begging for a king. They're a tribe of people who live amongst other people. And they see that other people have kings. And they want to be like the other people, so they say, God, we need a king. We need a king. God says, you don't need a king. If you believe what I believe about you, you see you didn't need a king. But because you don't believe what I believe about you, I'm going to give you a king. I'm going to meet you halfway. That's a whole nother message about how God meets us halfway. And so he gives them a king. And this king is not, he doesn't think he's qualified himself. Quite literally feels like someone else would be better for the job. But Saul has been anointed by Samuel to be king. And I feel like we often skip over this fact about him because we always talk about how Saul was such a terrible king. He was insecure. He was afraid that his kingdom would not go on. He was afraid of losing the people. So he was an insecure king. Is always a terrible king to be under leadership with because they're always threatened. They're always threatened, period. They're threatened by you. They're threatened by other people. I know y'all never experienced that, like a boss or somebody who's always threatened. But I'm just telling you, an insecure king is a difficult king to be in relationship with. But it says that once Samuel anoints him and prophesies that he will be king and tells him that he's going to partner with the Lord in order to set up the children of Israel. 1 Samuel chapter 10 verse 9 says, so it was when this was Samuel after he had anointed him. It says, so it was when he had turned his back to go from Samuel, so Saul turned his back to go from Samuel, that God gave him another heart. Oh, they put it on the screen. Y'all are amazing team. Thank you. Thank you. When God anointed him to be king, he knew he didn't have the heart for it. And he knew that the people didn't need a king. But he made a decision that if I'm going to put someone in front of you, I'm going to change his heart so that he can be who I have called him to be. I'm going to give him a heart for the mission. We talk about how he was terrible, but we have to recognize that first God gave him an opportunity to believe what he believed about him. And so effective was God in giving him this opportunity to believe what God believed about him that it changed his heart. As the verse continues, as these chapters continue, we see that he does have the heart. He goes and he prophesies and people are marveling. Could this be the same person? All of these, he's changed radically. But what happens is he starts losing. And it is very difficult to take a loss without losing heart. one thing to take a loss, but to be able to separate the loss from your heart is very challenging. That is the moment when everything changes for Saul. His heart changed in one direction, but it changed again when it looked like he was failing, when it looked like he was losing, because he didn't protect the belief that God had placed inside him. And because he didn't try to get back in position again, he settled in a state of disbelief. God help me. He settled in a state of having lost heart. We can't always tell the moments where we lose heart. That's why there's no scripture here that says, and then his heart changed again. It happened so subtly. We thought we processed the loss. We thought that the failure didn't define us. We thought that we were doing okay, but little do we realize that we lost heart. And when we lose heart, we lose faith. And what we have to understand about losing faith is that you don't just lose something without gaining something. It's currency. What if we see faith as spiritual currency? You didn't lose $5 a start, but you got a coffee back. You don't just lose something, you gain something. So when you lose faith, you gain something else. Was it fear? Was it bitterness? Was it pride? You got to ask yourself, if I've lost faith, in what area have I gained something? And I think it's important for us to understand where Saul is at this point in the text, because we have to understand that as Jonathan is entering this text, that he is in an environment of people who have lost faith. And he's trying to hang on to faith in a world where others are losing faith. Well, I just know that this message is so prophetic. Because we have a responsibility to hang on to faith at a time when others are losing faith. And they're losing faith with good reason. Because the evidence is seemingly all around that they are experiencing destruction, that they're going to be demolished, that their world is going to be turned upside down. But for some reason, there is this crazy kid, Jonathan, who refuses to believe what everyone else believes about the situation. Oh God, if I do this right, there are going to be some people who walk out of this room who refuse to believe what the world is saying about the world. God, if I do this right, there are going to be some people who refuse to believe what everyone else is willing to believe about our families, about our education, about our judicial system. If I do this right, there's going to be about 2 or 3, and I only need 2 or 3, I'll tell you, who are going to be crazy enough to put their faith into action, because we cannot afford to be like those who shrink back in the face of adversity. We must be people who push forward even in the midst of utter chaos. If I do this right, it'll be about 1, maybe 2 of us who decide that it cannot happen on my watch. If I do this right, God said that it doesn't matter how many of them you get, because it doesn't matter whether God saves by many or by few. It could be just one of us who are willing to say, God, I refuse to believe what everyone else is willing to believe. I'm trying to protect. Not I'm trying to protect. Jonathan must have made a decision that I will protect what I believe. Whew, I'm sorry, that felt good to me. Because there's a lot of people trying to give up. But I made a decision even earlier this year. I got to re-up my decision every now. I got to renew my mind every now and then. Every now and then I got to remind my spirit that I have made a decision to not believe what the world believes. I have made a decision that I will not give up. I have made a decision that if the sink is shipping, I'm going to hold my breath, because I don't abandon ship when things get hard. I've made a decision. I don't abandon ship. I'm going to stay where God planted me. I'm decision that it doesn't matter how much oppression it looks like I'm under. It doesn't matter how much systemic racism I may be under. I made a decision that if God says that there will be deliverance for my family, if God says there will be deliverance for my people, if God said his kingdom will come and his will be done, I will not give up on what God said. I don't care who falls off. 1,000 on my right side, 10,000 on my left side. I will stay planted. Listen to the Bismarck when it said, because I'm an old soldier. I wish I had about 2 or 3 crazy old soldiers in the Potter's house who didn't mind saying, I'ma stay planted. I don't care who gets divorced. I don't care who walks away. I'm gonna stay.
This is a battery sucking lie. Because at Aldi, you don't need an app to get a low price. They just have USDA choice beef at everyday low prices.
Everything we don't do is for you. It's an Aldi thing.
Kamala Harris knows what it's like to carry our children, our jobs, and our parents. She had a busy job, but when her mom got cancer, she was by her side every step of the way. So trust Kamala knows what we need. Lower prices and lower taxes, taking a sick day or helping a family and still being able to pay all the bills on time. So let's elect the president who knows what it's like and what our families need.
I'm almost finished. Jonathan still has faith for something that everyone else has given up on. Don't let the fact that other people are giving up make you abandon your belief. Your belief is not a democracy. Your belief was set in stone. The moment you claimed what God said about you, you can't turn your back on God. He's been too faithful for you to switch up right now. You may not believe. I'm going to pray for you, but I got to keep believing. I went through hell to get to this belief. I went through hell to believe again. I went through hell to claim this thing. I can't give it up easy. I fought for this. I bled for this. I cried for this. And God gave me breakthrough. I don't just back. He took me through too much. He brought me from a mighty long way. I'm sorry, but I can't give up. I can't just beat you in the head with the Bible, but I can tell you about a testimony of a man named Jesus. I know the blood's still working. One thing I know is that the blood still works. One thing I know, this ain't even the message no more, but I want to prophesy over somebody. I want to have a meeting of the minds with the kingdom real quick, because I want you to understand that the blood still works and it reaches to the highest mountain. Blood, blood, blood. Okay, listen. Jonathan, can I tell you what I love about this text? I admire the situation that Jonathan is in because I can relate when I look at what's happening in the world. Oh, Jesus. 1 Samuel 14:6. When Jonathan is about to gas his armor bearer up to go into of the Philistines. Can you please put the text on the screen for me? It says, then Jonathan said to the young man who wore his armor, he said, come, let us go over to the garrison of these uncircumcised. And maybe, I'm sorry, it's just me and the Lord at this point. When I read that, it maybe, I realized that Jonathan didn't go into the Philistines camp with certainty. He didn't know for sure what God was going to do. He just refused to believe that this situation was the end. Jonathan said, I gotta put my faith in a position where it's taking a chance on what God might want to do. Because this ain't it. I don't believe that this is it. This might be the end, but it might be the beginning of what God wants to do in the earth. It may be that God wants to use me in this region. It may be, I don't know for sure. I wish I knew it for sure, but I'm willing to move off of maybe. I'm willing to lead off of maybe. And maybe, God says a maybe is enough. God says you want to be sure, but I'm looking for somebody who will move off of a maybe. Maybe it's you. Maybe it's your family. Maybe I anointed you to do it. Maybe it'll fail. Maybe we're not well qualified. Maybe it's not enough of us. Maybe I'm going to go bankrupt. But maybe, just maybe, God's going to take that seed and turn it into harvest. Maybe. I hear God saying, go wrong. But I hear God saying you need to let your spirit start playing. He was losing because he didn't protect the belief that God had placed inside of him. And because he didn't try to get back in position again, he settled in a state of disbelief. God help me. He settled in a state of having lost heart. We can't always tell the moments where we lose heart. That's why there's no scripture in here that says, and then his heart changed again. It happened so subtly. We thought we processed the loss. We thought that the failure didn't define us. We thought that we were doing okay, but little do we realize that we lost heart. And when we lose heart, we lose faith. And what we have to understand about losing faith is that you don't just lose something without gaining something. It's currency. What if we see faith as spiritual currency? You didn't lose $5 to start, but you got a coffee bag. You don't just lose something, you gain something. So when you lose faith, you gain something else. Was it fear? Was it bitterness? Was it pride? You got to ask yourself, if I've lost faith, in what area have I gained something? And I think it's important for us to understand where Saul is at this point in the text, because we have to understand that as Jonathan is entering this text, that he is in an environment of people who have lost faith. And he's trying to hang on to faith in a world where others are losing faith. Well, I just know that this message is so prophetic. Because we have a responsibility to hang on to faith at a time when others are losing faith. And they're losing faith with good reason. because the evidence is seemingly all around that they are experiencing destruction, that they're going to be demolished, that their world is going to be turned upside down. But for some reason, there is this crazy kid, Jonathan, who refuses to believe what everyone else believes about the situation. Oh God, if I do this right, there are going to be some people who walk out of this room who refuse to believe what the world is saying about the world. God, if I do this right, there are going to be some people who refuse to believe what everyone else is willing to believe about our families, about our education, about our judicial system. If I do this right, there's going to be about 2 or 3, and I only need 2 or 3, I'll tell you, who are going to be crazy enough to put their faith into action, because we cannot afford to be like those who shrink back in the face of adversity. We must be people who push forward even in the midst of utter chaos. If I do this right, it'll be about 1, maybe 2 of us who decide that it cannot happen on my watch. If I do this right, God said that it doesn't matter how many of them you get, because it doesn't matter whether God saves by many or by few. It could be just one of us who are willing to say, God, I refuse to believe what everyone else is willing to believe. I'm trying to protect. Not I'm trying to protect. Jonathan must have made a decision that I will protect what I believe. Whew. I'm sorry, that felt good to me, because it's a lot of people trying to give up. But I made a decision even earlier this year. I got to re-up my decision every now. I got to renew my mind every now and then. Every now and then I got to remind my spirit that I have made a decision to not believe what the world believes. I have made a decision that I will not give up. I have made a decision that if the sink is shipping, I'm going to hold my breath, because I don't abandon ship when things get hard. I've made a decision. I don't abandon ship. I'm going to stay where God planted me. I'm going to believe what God said I'm supposed to believe. If God didn't switch up, I'm not switching up either. If God said stay planted, I'm 10 toes down on this thing. God, whatever you want to do in the earth. Jonathan made a decision that it doesn't matter how much oppression it looks like I'm under. It doesn't matter how much systemic racism I may be under. I've made a decision that if God says that there will be deliverance for my family, if God says there will be deliverance for my people, if God said his kingdom will come and his will be done, I will not give up on what God said. I don't care who falls off. 1,000 on my right side, 10,000 on my left side. I will stay planted. Listen to the Bismarck what it said, because I'm an old soldier. I wish I had about 2 or 3 crazy old soldiers in the Potter's house who didn't mind saying, I'ma stay planted. I don't care who gets divorced. I don't care who walks away. I'm gonna stay. I'm almost finished. Jonathan still has faith for something that everyone else has given up on. Don't let the fact that other people are giving up make you abandon your belief. Your belief is not a democracy. Your belief was set in stone. The moment you claimed what God said about you, you can't turn your back on God. He's been too faithful for you to switch up right now. You may not believe, I'm going to pray for you, but I got to keep believing. I went through hell to get to this belief. I went through hell to believe again. I went through hell to claim this thing. I can't give it up easy. I fought for this. I bled for this. I cried for this. And God gave me breakthrough. I don't just back. He took me through too much. He brought me from a mighty long way. I'm sorry, but I can't give up. I can't just be Jesus. I know the blood still works. One thing I know is that the blood still works. One thing I know, this ain't even the message no more, but I want to prophesy over somebody. I want to have a meeting of the minds with the kingdom real quick, because I want you to understand that the blood still works and it reaches to the highest mountain. Blood, the blood, the blood. Okay, listen. Jonathan, can I tell you what I love about this text? I admire the situation that Jonathan is in because I can relate when I look at what's happening in the world. Oh, Jesus. 1 Samuel 14:6. When Jonathan is about to gas his armor bearer up to go into the camp of the Philistines. Can you please put the text on the screen for me? It says, then Jonathan said to the young man who bore his armor, he said, come, let us go over to the garrison of these uncircumcised. It may be. I'm sorry. It's just me and the Lord up here at this point. When I read that it may be, I realized that Jonathan didn't go into the Philistines camp with certainty. He didn't know for sure what God was going to do. He just refused to believe that this situation was the end. Jonathan said, I got to put my faith in a position where it's taking a chance on what God might want to do. Because this ain't it. I don't believe that this is it. This might be the end, but it might be the beginning of what God wants to do in the earth. It may be that God wants to use me in this region. It may be, I don't know for sure. I wish I knew it for sure, but I'm willing to move off of maybe. I'm willing to lead off of maybe. And maybe, God says a maybe is enough. God says you want to be sure, but I'm looking for somebody who will move off of a maybe. Maybe it's you. Maybe it's your family. Maybe I anointed you to do it. Maybe it'll fail. Maybe we're not well qualified. Maybe it's not enough of us. Maybe I'm going to go bankrupt. But maybe, just maybe, God's going to take that seed and turn it into harvest. Maybe. I hear God saying. You let your mind play maybe about what could go wrong. But I hear God saying you need to let your spirit start playing maybe about what God could do in the situation you're worried about. You need to let your spirit start running wild in the direction of maybe. What's beautiful about moving off of the maybe? PK, some of y'all say you want to walk by faith. I want to challenge that a little bit. Because I think some of you want to run by faith. You want to soar by faith. Which means you want to be so sure that you can take off running. But when you walk by faith, you got to take a step listen. You got to take a step and you got to surrender. You got to take a step and you got to look around and assess. You see, we got to walk by faith in this season. I know there were some seasons where you hit the ground running. There were some seasons where you soared into your destiny. But I hear God saying, you may know your destiny, but you don't know the steps. So you got to take this thing easy. You got to walk and you got to listen. You got to walk and you got to fast. You got to take a step and you got to pray. You got to take a step and you got to hit your knees. You got to take a step and you may have to go back. You got to take, because I'm walking by faith. God, I don't want to be ahead of you, and I don't want to be behind you. I want to. I'm going to step my way into the next dimension. I'm going to step my way into victory. I'm going to step. There's
That subdivision won't build itself. With skid steers, track loaders, wheel loaders, and the world's #1 selling compact excavator for 18 years, the Kubota Construction lineup shows up ready to work every day. Visit your local dealer today.
I'm not going to ask you to do something that I haven't given you the ability to accomplish. So I got to protect my belief in what God says about me. That's all you got to do. You have to create an environment that protects the belief that God has about who you are. That's why you got to be careful who you engage with. That's why you got to be sure about where you go to church. That's why you got to be sure about what you're listening to. Because I'm trying to protect this belief. Because I've seen it slip through my hands before. Worship is a weapon against the things that are trying to rob me of my ability to believe what God believes about my faith, about my gift, about my talent, about my anointing. Worship is my weapon that helps me to protect what God put inside me. If we do not protect our belief, we will find ourselves in a situation similar to where we find Saul in my text. When I find Saul in my text, he is not the same Saul that we see in 1 Samuel chapter 9. Oh, man. I'm going to come back to that. I forgot a point, but I'm going to flow with the Holy Ghost. Well, Lord, that was a good point. Help me. If it makes sense, we'll go back to it. Saul, he fails as king because he was unable to protect his belief. 1 Samuel chapter 10, verse 9, I didn't give this today. First of all, context, and I know most of your Bible scholars, but for those of us who are just like learning, I'm going to break this down for you. The children of Israel are begging for a king. They're a tribe of people who live amongst other people. And they see that other people have kings. And they want to be like the other people, so they say, God, we need a king, we need a king. God said, you don't need a king. If you believe what I believed about you, you would see you didn't need a king. But because you don't believe what I believe about you, I'm going to give you a king. I'm going to meet you halfway. That's a whole other message about how God meets us halfway. And so he gives them a king. And this king is not, he doesn't think he's qualified himself. Quite literally feels like someone else would be better for the job. But Saul has been anointed by Samuel to be king. And I feel like we often skip over this fact about him because we always talk about how Saul was such a terrible king. He was insecure. He was afraid that his kingdom would not go on. He was afraid of losing the people. So he was an insecure king. Is always a terrible king to be under leadership with because they're always threatened. They're always threatened, period. They're threatened by you. They're threatened by other people. I know y'all have never experienced that, like a boss or somebody who's always threatened. But I'm just telling you, an insecure king is a difficult king to be in relationship with. But it says that once Samuel anoints him and prophesies that he will be king and tells him that he's going to partner with the Lord in order to serve the children of Israel. 1 Samuel chapter 10 verse 9 says, so it was when this was Samuel after he had anointed him. It says, so it was when he had turned his back to go from Samuel, so Saul turned his back to go from Samuel, that God gave him another heart. Oh, they put it on the screen. Y'all, we have an amazing team. Thank you. Thank you. When God anointed him to be king, he knew he didn't have the heart for it. And he knew that the people didn't need a king. But he made a decision that if I'm going to put someone in front of you, I'm going to change his heart so that he can be who I have called him to be. I'm going to give him a heart for the mission. We talk about how he was terrible, but we have to recognize that first God gave him an opportunity to believe what he believed about him. And so effective was God in giving him this opportunity to believe what God believed about him that it changed his heart. As the verse continues, as these chapters continue, we see that he does have the heart. He goes and he prophesies and people are marveling. Could this be the same person? Oh, he's changed radically. But what happens is he starts losing. And it is very difficult to take a loss without losing heart. It's one thing to take a loss, but to be able to separate the loss from your heart is very challenging. That is the moment when everything changes for Saul. His heart changed in one direction, but it changed again when it looked like he was failing, when it looked like he was losing, because he didn't protect the belief that God had placed inside him. And because he didn't try to get back in position again, he settled in a state of disbelief. God help me. He settled in a state of having lost heart. We can't always tell the moments where we lose heart. That's why there's no scripture in here that says, and then his heart changed again. It happened so suddenly. We thought we processed the loss. We thought that the failure didn't define us. We thought that we were doing okay, but little do we realize that we lost heart, and when we lose heart, we lose faith. And what we have to understand about losing faith is that you don't just lose something without gaining something. It's currency. What if we see faith as spiritual currency? You didn't lose $5 at Starbucks, you got a coffee back. You don't just lose something, you gain something. So when you lose faith, you gain something else. Was it fear? Was it bitterness? Was it pride? You got to ask yourself, if I've lost faith, in what area have I gained something? And I think it's important for us to understand where Saul is at this point in the text, because we have to understand that as Jonathan is entering this text, that he is in an environment of people who have lost faith. And he's trying to hang on to faith in a world where others are losing faith. Well, I just know that this message is so prophetic, because we have a responsibility to hang on to faith at a time when others are losing faith. And they're losing faith with good reason, because the evidence is seemingly all around that they are experiencing destruction, that they're going to be demolished, that their world is going to be turned upside down. But for some reason, there is this crazy kid, Jonathan, who refuses to believe what everyone else believes about the situation. All right, if I do this right, there are going to be some people who walk out of this room who refuse to believe what the world is saying about the world. God, if I do this right, there are going to be some people who refuse to believe what everyone else is willing to believe about our families, about our education, about our judicial system. If I do this right, there's going to be about 2 or 3, and I only need 2 or 3, I'll tell you, who are going to be crazy enough to put their faith into action, because we cannot afford to be like those who shrink back in the face of adversity. We must be people who push forward even in the midst of utter chaos. If I do this right, it'll be about 1, maybe 2 of us who decide that it cannot happen on my watch. If I do this right, God says that it doesn't matter how many of them you get, because it doesn't matter whether God saves by many or by few. It could be just one of us who are willing to say, God, I refuse to believe what everyone else is willing to believe. I'm trying to protect. Not I'm trying to protect. Jonathan must have made a decision that I will protect what I believe. Woo, I'm sorry, that felt good to me, because there's a lot of people trying to give up. But I made a decision even earlier this year. I got to re-up my decision every now. I got to renew my mind every now and then. Every now and then I got to remind my spirit that I have made a decision to not believe what the world believes. I have made a decision that I will not give up. I have made a decision that if the sink is shipping, I'm going to hold my breath, because I don't abandon ship when things get hard. I've made a decision. I don't abandon ship. I'm going to stay where God planted me. I'm going to believe what God said I'm supposed to believe. If God didn't switch up, I'm not switching up either. If God said stay planted, I'm 10 toes down on this thing. God, whatever you want to do in the earth. Jonathan, I made a decision that it doesn't matter how much oppression it looks like I'm under. It doesn't matter how much systemic racism I may be under. I've made a decision that if God says that there will be deliverance for my family, if God says there will be deliverance for my people, if God said his kingdom will come and his will be done, I will not give up on what God said. I don't care who falls off. 1,000 on my right side, 10,000 on my left side. I will stay planted. Bishop Tudor Bismarck would have said, because I'm an old soldier. I wish I had about 2 or 3 crazy old soldiers in the Potter's house who didn't mind saying, I'm going to stay planted. I don't care who gets divorced. I don't care who walks away. I'm going to stay. I'm almost finished. Jonathan still has faith for something that everyone else has given up on. Don't let the fact that other people are giving up make you abandon your belief. Your belief is not a democracy. Your belief was set in stone. The moment you claimed what God said about you, you can't turn your back on God. He's been too faithful for you to switch up right now. You may not believe. I'm going to pray for you, but I got to keep believing. I went through hell to get to this belief. I went through hell to believe again. I went through hell to claim this thing. I can't give it up easy. I fought for this. I bled for this. I cried for this. And God gave me breakthrough. I don't just back. He took me through too much. He brought me from a mighty long way. I'm sorry, but I can't give up. I can't just beat you in the head with the Bible, but I can tell you about a testimony of a man named Jesus. I know the blood still works. One thing I know is that the blood still works. One thing I know, this ain't even the message no more, but I want to prophesy over somebody. I want to have a meeting of the minds with the kingdom real quick, because I want you to understand that the blood still works and it reaches to the highest mountain. The blood, the blood, the blood. Okay, listen. Jonathan, can I tell you what I love about this text? I admire the situation that Jonathan is in because I can relate when I look at what's happening in the world. Oh, Jesus. 1 Samuel 14:6. When Jonathan is about to gas his armor bearer up to go into the camp of the Philistines. Can you please put the text on the screen for me? It says, then Jonathan said to the young man who bore his armor, he said, come, let us go over to the garrison of these uncircumcised. It may be, I'm sorry, it's just me and the Lord up here at this point. When I read that it may be, I realized that Jonathan didn't go into the Philistines camp with certainty. He didn't know for sure what God was going to do. He just refused to believe that this situation was the end. Jonathan said, I got to put my faith in a position where it's taking a chance on what God might want to do. Because this ain't it. I don't believe that this is it. This might be the end, but it might be the beginning of what God wants to do in the earth. It may be that God wants to use me in this region. It may be, I don't know for sure. I wish I knew it for sure, but I'm willing to move off of maybe. I'm willing to lead off of maybe. And maybe, maybe, maybe. God says a maybe is enough. God says you want to be sure, but I'm looking for somebody who will move off of a maybe. Maybe it's you. Maybe it's your family. Maybe I anointed you to do it. Maybe it'll fail. Maybe we're not well qualified. Maybe it's not enough of us. Maybe I'm going to go bankrupt. But maybe, just maybe, God's going to take that seed and turn it into harvest. Maybe. I hear God saying. You let your mind play maybe about what could go wrong. But I hear God saying you need to let your spirit Start playing maybe about what God could do in the situation you're worried about. You need to let your spirit start running wild in the direction of maybe. What's beautiful about moving off of a maybe? People, some of y'all say you want to walk by faith. I want to challenge that a little bit. Because I think some of you want to run by faith. You want to soar by faith. Which means you want to be so sure that you can take off running. But when you walk by faith, you got to take a step and listen. You got to take a step and you got to surrender. You got to take a step and you got to look around and assess. You see, we got to walk by faith in this season. I know there were some seasons where you hit the ground running. There were some seasons where you soared into your destiny. But I hear God saying, you may know your destiny, but you don't know the steps. So you got to take this thing easy. You got to walk and you got to listen. You got to walk and you got to fast. You got to take a step and you got to pray. You got to take a step and you got to hit your knees. You got to take a step and you may have to go back. You got to take, because I'm walking by faith. God, I don't want to be ahead of you, and I don't want to be behind you. I want to. I'm going to step my way into the next dimension. I'm going to step my way into victory. I'm going to step. There's nobody crazy enough in this room to take a step right now as a sign to the enemy that I'm going to start walking again. I'm going to start moving again. It won't be by might. It won't be by power, but the Spirit of God. Every step you take, I will uphold every step you take. Seek the kingdom of God, and all other things will be added unto you.
Sometimes life can be like this, but with certified pre-owned quality and safety you expect, it can be more like this. Certified for growing families. Certified by Volvo.
Milk chocolate beyond words. Classic recipe by Liz. Now, discover the creamy, crunchy hazelnut bar by Mint.
You're not gonna get the full plan. You're not gonna get the full vision. One step at a time. Because I'm moving off of maybe. I'm not sure. I'm moving off of maybe. Maybe I can raise a child. But I'm going to walk by faith to do it. Maybe I can build the business. But I got to walk by faith to do it. Jonathan would have been a fool to just run up in the camp. He said, let's go maybe. Maybe. And maybe is enough. Okay. Maybe. Oh. Jesus. Jonathan. I'm going to say this, I'm going to get out of here. Listen, Jonathan tells his armor bearer, who was with him according to his heart. I think I overstudied because I don't have enough time. But some people are connected to you according to your heart. It's not about what you have. It's not about your strength. It's about your heart. He's got somebody who was willing to go to war with him, outnumbered and all, because he believed in what was in his heart. That's why you got to get your heart right. Because if people will follow you according to your heart, you might lead someone to destruction when you could have led them to elevation. God, help me to get my heart right. Tells, okay, Jonathan tells his own again. He says, this is how we know. We don't know. We don't know. We move it off the maybe. But this is how we'll know. When we get to the Philistine camp, if they say to us, come up, we'll know the Lord has delivered them in our hands. But if they come down, then we'll know that this wasn't our fault. Oh gosh, I just have so much to say. Can you imagine the level of selflessness? The level of pride you would have to be willing to lose to take a step of faith and also be willing for the outcome to not be what you desired. Oh, I wish I could say that better. He left the camp to win, but he was willing to not let his definition of a win to stand in the way of what God wanted to do. So he said, here's our sign. If they come to us, it's not our fight. And that's okay. It doesn't diminish my faith. I'm still glad I stepped out. I'm still glad I did it. You can't step out on faith if you must insist on having victory your way. Because I trust God more than my plan. So you stepped out on faith and you didn't get what you wanted. So you lost heart and you lost faith. But faith is not just about your hope. It's about what God is hoping for too. And if God didn't deliver on your hope, then he has a hope that will help you to let go of what you thought you needed and receive what he had in mind. I marvel at the fact that Jonathan said, we'll know that it's God if we have to climb up. I would think that we'll know it's God if it doesn't cost me energy, if it doesn't cost me exhaustion, if it doesn't cost me scrapes and bruises, if I don't have to risk my life. That's when I think I'll know if it's easy. But Jonathan says, God says, Jonathan puts in his spirit that if it costs you the requirement of going higher, of scaling a mountain, if it's hard, then he'll know it's God. And that's when I realized that Jonathan was the perfect candidate for us to understand what we are in this world, in this day and age and generation. Because God is not looking to back up someone who can only have it if it is the easy way. God says, this is going to be an uphill battle, the thing I've called you to do. This is going to be an uphill battle. You're going to be exhausted. You're going to have to carry your armor. It's going to cost you some things. To do that thing, to get that victory is not going to come easy on you, but it's going to be easy on him. Because when he gets finished, when Jonathan gets finished exhausting all of his energy, there is nothing left but room for God's glory to shine. Oh, God, help me to say it so we can close and go home. Jonathan was looking for the path that would give God the most glory, not the path that would give him the most glory. I know it's God. Because I won't have any more strength left if I gotta climb up here. I know it's God. Because we'll be outnumbered and I'll be tired. And when it's time to actually fight, I won't have anything to work with. But I have faith that if God uses everything that I have, then he'll add everything that he can do. And it'll be a partnership because I gave it all and God gave it all. And the Philistines do exactly what Jonathan suspected. He tells them to come on up here. And Jonathan knew at the moment that they said, come on up, that the Lord had delivered them into their hands. Man, I want you guys, if you get a chance, as you protect the belief that has been unlocked in this room, I want you to read this whole chapter. Because if you read the whole chapter, you'll see that when they finally scale the mountain, and it's time for them to face off with the Philistines, that the Lord sends an earthquake, that the Lord confuses the enemy, and all of a sudden the Philistines are fighting the Philistines, that they did everything that they could do, and then God did everything that he could do, and when God got finished doing everything that he could do, there was no denying, oh God, I'm about to close, but I want you to understand that while Jonathan and his armor bearer were fighting an uphill battle on their own, that word got back to the Hebrews, that the Philistines were on the run, that word got back to the Hebrew children, that they don't have to be restricted anymore. Word got back to those who were confined, that victory was on the way. I want you to understand that it may start off as just you and whoever God puts beside you, but I hear God saying when it's all said and done, that you are opening the floodgates for everyone who is connected to you. I hear God saying that faith is contagious. If you bust a move, God will bust a move too. If you take a leap, God says, I'll put wind behind you and I'll push you. And I'll send word back to the people who were afraid. I'll send a word back to the people who didn't have the faith that you had. That there was someone amongst you who had enough belief on your behalf. I don't know who you are in this room, but I hear God saying, just because everyone else is losing faith, doesn't mean that all faith is lost. If you protect your faith, if you act on your faith, you will give other people permission to do the same. Don't be alarmed when it's just you. Don't be discouraged when it's just you. It may not be an army with you, but God says you got enough faith to act on by yourself. I don't know who you are. I'm going to say this, then I'm really finished. Maybe you took a step of faith and you climbed an uphill battle and you're tired. I hear God saying help is on the way. That wasn't in my notes, but there had to have been a moment when Jonathan was wielding his sword where he felt like, I don't know if I have what it takes. I don't know if me and God are enough. And all of a sudden he looked beside him and the people he thought he left behind were fighting right there with him. It may just be you in one stage, but when it's all said and done, God says you don't hear the footsteps that are trailing behind you. Help is on the way. Potter's house.
I'm going to go right into the Word of God. We pick up the offering at the end. I'm ready to unload this thing. I'm ready to unload this thing kind of heavy. I want to get it out. Amen. How many people came to get a word from the Lord this morning? God has been dealing with me about this message all week, and I'm excited to be able to share it with you. I believe God's going to do great things. Go to Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 4 through 5. Yeah. And then go to Judges 6 through 11. I'm going to read Judges 6 through 11. Judges 6 through 11 first. And 6 through 11 through 16. 6th chapter, 11th verse through 16. And then I'm going to pick up the 18th verse just for some extra. It's our custom to stand for the reading of the word. That's why people are standing all around you. They're not leaving. I don't guess. Just say amen, somebody. When you get to Judges 6:11, we'll read down to the 16th verse, and then we'll read the 18th verse, and we're going to go further. When you have it, say amen. The angel of the Lord came and sat down under the oak in Ophrah that belonged to Joash the Abiezrite, where his son Gideon was threshing wheat in a winepress to keep it from the Midianites. Watch that closely. He was threshing wheat in a winepress to keep it from the Midianites. Now, really zone in on this. When the angel of the Lord appeared to Gideon, he said, "The Lord is with you, mighty warrior." "Pardon me, my Lord," Gideon replied, "but if the Lord is with us, why has all this happened to us?" Oh, I get that all the time. If the Lord is with us, why has all this happened to us? Where are all of his wonders that our ancestors told us about when they said, "Did not the Lord bring us up out of Egypt?" But now the Lord has abandoned us and given us into the hand of Midian. See, this is going to be real good for all of those people who are going through something right now, and you feel abandoned. And you wonder, is the Lord with you? The Lord turned to him and said, "Go in the strength you have." Isn't that good? See, I have preached to you so long, I have produced a church full of preachers. I don't even have to get to the point. You're picking my points out for me. Go in the strength you have and save Israel out of the Midian's hand. Am I not sending you? Pardon me, my Lord, or say what? Gideon replied, "But how can I save Israel? My clan is the weakest in Manasseh, and I am the least in my family." The Lord answered and said, "I will be with you, and you will strike down all the Midianites, leaving none alive." Oh my God. Gideon is so moved that he says to the angel, wait. Please do not go away until I come back and bring my offering and set it before you. And the Lord said, "I will wait till you return." That's good, isn't it? That's good, isn't it? Now, remain standing. I'm going to pray with you. And then I'm going to preach. And this is the subject, priest, teach, whatever it is. Got a little bit of drainage, so don't let it distract you. This is my subject this morning. I didn't know I was me. I didn't know I was me. I would have done it differently, but I didn't know I was me. I would have paid more attention, but I didn't know I was me. I would have been more careful, but I didn't know I was me. I would have resisted the enemy better, but I didn't know I was me. Am I in the right house? Let's pray while we're standing. Spirit of the living God, we stand here right now in need of you. There is no other attraction. There is no star. There is no vanguard. There is no attraction here but you. Anybody cannot come but you. We need you. You are the centerpiece of all that is set at the table. And I want you to manifest yourself in this place that we get more than we expected, that we receive more. I want us to receive so much that we eat off it all week. Yeah. I want to receive so much in our spirit, Lord, that we walk out of here stronger than when we came in. I want you to touch us in a supernatural way, inform us, inspire us, educate us, impart to us, invigorate us, motivate us, liberate us, saturate us. Great God that you are. I believe you for stuff I don't even have the intellect to articulate. I'm asking you for things I can't even express. I'm asking you to answer the question that comes out as a groan, the pain that comes out as a sigh, the question that falls like a tear. I want you to read the sign language of my pain, get in the DNA of my spirit, and move in a supernatural way. I thank you in advance for what you're going to do. I don't even need to see you do it. I praise you now. You can do it later. In Jesus' name, come on, Potter's house. Do what you do. You may be seated. Let's go to work. I'm going to spend the first 5 or 10 minutes getting into some fairly heavy stuff, which is the framework through which I'm going to put the picture of Gideon's experience in. If you miss the opulence of the frame, you will not be able to appreciate the details of the picture. For the frame dignifies the picture with context. And what good is a text? Hey man, how you doing? Got my lawyer back in the house. Stand up, bro. I appreciate you. Been praying for you. Give God praise for this, brother. Yeah. Never thought he had it, but he got away. Healed him, brought him back in the service of God. Welcome back. What good is a text without context? What good is music without score? What good is dance without feet? What good is rhythm without music? So putting the text in context requires that I begin this discussion from an unusual place. I want to begin it with God. With God. God, the notion of God. Not church, not religion, God. The one who rules and super rules and reigns and has absolute control. The auspicious one. The omnipotent one. The omnipresent one. The all-sufficient one. The El Shaddai, the consolation of Israel. The mighty God, the Prince of Peace. God. Not appointed, not elected. God. Nobody put him in, nobody can take him out. God. With all power, the sovereign one. Nobody can impeach it. God, the one who sits on the circle of the earth, that heaven is his throne and earth is his footstool. God, who gives you oxygen and movement and freedom and liberty and life and activity, who kept your heart beating while you were asleep. You know you didn't do it, but it was beating while you, it was still beating because God regulated your temperature, your blood pressure, the rhythm of the way the blood runs through your cells was God orchestrating all things up under his power. I call him the puppet master because he manages all the artifacts on the stage of my life. Where does God live? What is his address? Where can I get to God? Where do I find him? God lives in eternity. Eternity doesn't deal with geographical locations or addresses. God lives in eternity. And we live in time. Hey, I'm seeing all kinds of folks I know as I preach. We live in time. Really, I don't know what the preacher eats chicken wings. God lives in eternity. Let's think about that. God lives in eternity, which transcends time. Time is a matrix inside of eternity. Think of time being something that God created, not subject to. In the beginning, there was God before there was a first day. So God existed before there was a calendar, before there was a watch, before there was a tick or a talk, there was God. Before there was a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, there was God. Before there was an evening or a morning, there was God. Before the sun rose or set, there was God. Before the moon glistened against a dark sky, there was God. Before the first earthquake trembled in the ocean, there was God. There was God before there was an angel. There was God before there was a choir. There was God before there was anybody there to acknowledge him as God. God is God. God alone is God. And beside him, there is no other. God lives in eternity. And if you don't get that in your spirit, then your prayer life is going to go kaput because you're never going to understand being a creature of time with things like birthdays. You won't understand God. God doesn't have to get in a hurry because God doesn't get old. God doesn't get old because he's not subject to time. Anything subject to time gets old. Anything born out of time is ageless. That's part of being eternal. So when you start talking about being eternal, eternity supersedes time. Time is a child of eternity, an offspring of eternity. Eternity created time. The celestial created the terrestrial. The divine created the human. The supernatural created the natural. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth was without form and void, and darkness covered the face of the deep. But God was there to create it before there was an it to create. Are you following me? David says about God, from everlasting to ever.
It took 138 iterations to refine the Tiguan chassis, but it also took 189 pizzas and 52 all-nighters. The meticulously refined Tiguan. Visit your Volkswagen dealer today and get 0% APR financing for 60 months on a new 2024 Tiguan.
To everlasting, thou art God. You were God before there was a where or when or this or that. You were God. You were God before there was anybody there to tell you were God. You were God. God alone. God all by himself. God of the universe. God of the world. That's why I don't pray to the universe, because he created the universe. Why should I pray to what he created when I can pray to the one who created it? This is good. From everlasting to everlasting, thou art God. From as far back as I can see, there was God, and as far ahead as I can see, there was God. God is eternal. So when you read the Bible says all kinds of things that don't make sense if you don't understand that. For instance, it says that the Lamb was slain from the foundations of the world. In other words, talking about Jesus, he was crucified before Adam and Eve were born. That means that God had the answer in eternity before time produced a question. So whatever you're asking God to do in eternity is already done. It's already so. Let me prove it. Job said, my witnesses in heaven, my record is on high. In eternity, it's already done. It's already finished. In eternity, I'm already healed. In eternity, I'm already blessed. In eternity, I'm already loose. In eternity, I'm already set free. In eternity, there are no wheelchairs. In eternity, there are no broken limbs. In eternity, there is no sadness. In eternity, there is no abuse. God lives in eternity. He created time so I would have an address, so I would have a concept, so I would have appreciation of days. Teach me to number my days so I may know how frail I am. He created time so I wouldn't take life for granted. He created time so I would appreciate my life and your life. He created time so I would get the courage to say things to you that I wouldn't say because I'm running out of time. If I was an eternal being, I would think about it longer, maybe not say it ever because I have an eternity to think about it. But since we're running out of time, the older I get, the older I get, the sharper I get, the quicker I'll tell you. When I was 30, I might not would tell you, but at 60, I would let you have it. I will let you have it and not look back to see how you felt about it because I'm running out of time. Running out of time makes you get to the point. Running out of time makes you say what needs to be said. God lives in eternity. We live in time. So God is neither coming or going. He is always here. Remember when Moses said, who shall I say sent me? And God said, I am that I am. Not I was or I will be, I am. Because he's always present. He is the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. I am in today. I can't go back to yesterday. I'm waiting on tomorrow. But God is in tomorrow while I'm in today. That's why when God gives me a word today, it can heal something that broke yesterday because he's not subject to dates. He can say something now that heals something that happened 20 years ago. He can speak something now that changes the outcome of something that happens 30 years from now because God lives in eternity. I live in time. I have to go deeper. See, if I get on this, I got to go deeper. If you read the creation story in the book of Genesis, over and over again, you will see the word re. He restored. He replenished. He redeemed. Re is to do over again. Okay, he did it over again. He did it over again. It's been done before. Oh, wow. It's been done before. Somebody say before. See, the problem is I can't remember what was before because I am here, present now. But I can't remember what was before. When the Bible says that God redeemed us or restored us or re-delivered us or redeemed us from the curse of the law, from sin and death, it suggests that there was something between me and him before. Before what? Before time. Okay, Jeremiah's going to help me out. I got myself in trouble, but Jeremiah's going to pull me out. Jeremiah 1, 4, 5. Chapter verse 4 and 5. Jeremiah, check this out. It's still in frame. I haven't got to the picture. The word of the Lord came unto me, saying, before, before your mama's ankle swole, before her belly got big, before before her face broke out in a rash and before she threw up the first morning and told her husband, baby, I'm sick. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before I formed you, before you had your first birthday, before you were 1 week old, before you were 1 day old, before your mama was pregnant, I knew you. Before you were born, before you were born, before you were born, I set you apart. I set you apart. I meant for you to be different. Before you ever even got here, I meant for you to be different. And you spent the first 20 years of your life trying to fit in. But the reason you never fit in is that I set you apart before you ever even got here. You didn't even fit in with your neighbors. You didn't fit in with your friends. Uh-oh, you don't even fit in your family. You're the only one in your family who thinks like you think because I set you apart before I formed you in the belly. I meant for you to be different. So don't be upset over the people who didn't like you, who thought you were cute, who didn't like your hair. I don't care how you change your hair, change your walk, change your talk. I meant for you to be an outcast, rejected, ostracized. I meant for you to be different. Before I formed you in the belly, I knew you, I ordained you, I set you apart. Oh my God, this is good. So he knew me in eternity past. Okay, this is eternity. Eternity past is an oxymoron. Eternity past is an oxymoron. It is two things that totally disagree with each other. Eternity can't have a past, but the eternity is my only way of describing God, and past is my human attempt to express an anthropomorphic reality. An anthropomorphic reality, anthro is human. It's a human attempt to describe something that is divine. So eternity, past, present, and future. Past, present, and future are human terms. Eternity is God terms. Eternity past, before I was born, he knew me. He knew me. He formed me because he knew me. I had a relationship with him before. I had a relationship with him before I met my mother. That's why when he called me, I recognized his voice. He said, my sheep know my voice, a stranger, they will not follow. That's why you go to church and get blessed, and the person you went with didn't get nothing. Maybe they didn't recognize the voice. I knew the voice before I read the Bible. You know the word, but I know the voice. Oh, you don't hear what I'm saying? A lot of people know scripture, but they don't know the voice. He said, my sheep know my voice. A stranger they will not follow. And some kind of way, his voice resonated with me because I knew him before. He said, before I formed you in the belly, when you were just a spirit, I was just a spirit, we knew each other. On a spiritual level, we connected. We hooked up. We got together. I agreed to send you in the time, but here's the deal. If you go in the time, you're going to forget what we had in eternity. That's what being lost is about. The reason I'm lost, I can't be, first of all, I can't be lost if I don't belong to somebody. And I can't be lost if there's not a place for me. So the whole notion of being lost is not just about sinful activity, it's about not remembering. So he chose me in him before the foundation of the world. That's what the Bible said. He chose me in him. He picked me out and then sent me in the time. Now, Thomas, I'm going to send you in the time. When I send you in the time, you're going to walk in the time. And the moment you come out of your mother's womb, you won't remember that you knew me before. But I set you apart. I won't lose track of you. I set you apart. And when I get ready for you, I'm going to call you. And when I call you, you're going to recognize my voice, though you don't remember what we had before. I'm going to prove this. Can I prove this to you? Okay, go to Romans 8:29 and 30. Look at this right quick. It's just a frame. It's not the picture. For those God foreknew, he also predestined to be, oh, this is so good. For those God, we're going backwards, foreknew. For those God before knew, those are people that God before knew, that's what foreknew means, before knew, he also, this is future, predestined. Okay, because I knew you before, I predestined you to be conformed to the image of his dear son. Good God Almighty. That he might be the firstborn among many brethren. Come on. And those he predestined, he also called. Wait a minute, go back to 29 again. For those God foreknew, he also predestined to be conformed to the image of his son, that he might be the firstborn among many brothers. All of that he did without me knowing it. I can't remember it. Come on. And those he predestined, this is what I found out. He also that's when I found out I was his. When he called me, that's when I realized that I wasn't what they called me. I wasn't what he called me. I wasn't what she called me. I was what... Are you hearing what I'm saying? So when he called me, we're having trouble with one string, but when he called me, that's when I realized that's him. That's him. And because he called me, that's when I became aware of who I was before. And it doesn't matter what I was in when he called me. He called me. I could have been in the strip club, but he called me. I could have been in the gay bar, but he called me. I could have been high on crack, but he called me. And all of a sudden, what used to make me happy doesn't make me happy anymore. And what used to give me joy doesn't give me joy anymore. Because God has a way of disrupting your life. Because he called you. When he called you, I like the Ephesians. I didn't give you the scripture, man, but I like the scripture. Ephesians 1:9, having made known unto us the mystery of his will. That's what called is to make you know the mystery of his will. You are more than what you're doing. He made known unto me the mystery of his will. I meant for you to be raised the way you were raised. I meant for you to go through the pain you went through. I meant for you to be rejected. I know it's a mystery, but all things are going to work together for your good. I'm going to make known there's a purpose in your pain. You're not just having pain to have pain. I'm birthing something in you. I'm birthing something out of you. This is not just arbitrary pain. This is pain for a reason. I'm bringing something out of you. I'm going to show you who you really are. Because who you really are is a mystery. Who you really are is a mystery. You work with people who don't really know you. You live around people who don't really get you. You may have married somebody who didn't get you. Oh, we're going to get off there because you sit beside them. You don't want to say nothing. So just keep looking ahead and look confused. spent a lot of energy doing something that I really wasn't predestined to do. Maybe I did it because you wanted it from me. Maybe I did it because my parents wanted it from me. Maybe I did it because my wife wanted it from me. Maybe I did it because it was easy for me. Maybe I did it because I had some talent in it. But it didn't give me fulfillment because it is not it. You got me? Now to the text. When we step into this text, we step into utter chaos. I want to paint it for you. The Amalekites were more massive than the Israelites. They were more dominant. They were brutal warriors. The Amalekites were brutal in how they killed. They preyed on women and children. They killed off those that were weaker physically first. They would do anything to get advantage of a nation. They were cruel. And worse still, they had hooked up with the Midianites. People who don't even like each other will get together to hate you. In another class, I call them comrades. Comrades are people who the only thing they have in common is what they're against. Constituents are people who the only thing they have in common is where they're going. And confidence, the only thing they have in common is you. So you have confidants who are for you. You have constituents who are for where you're going. The only thing about constituents, if they see somebody getting there quicker, they'll leap out of your car into their car because they never liked you. They like where you were going. And comrades, the only reason they are together, it's the only thing they have in common is their hatred of you or something. So the Amalekites and the Midianites were comrades against Israel, and it was working. It had beat Israel down to a pulp. Israel has given up everything, and they're now hiding in caves. The people God delivered in last Sunday's message, the people that God set free last Sunday, and we were shouting all over the place, the people who danced on the dead bones of Pharaoh, these are their children's children's children, and they're in trouble again. And now they're back in trouble again, and the Lord is using their enemies to teach. Ooh, that should have rung home. If that didn't ring home, your bell is broke. God uses your enemies to teach. He doesn't use your enemies because they're stronger than you. He uses your enemies to teach. So God is using the Amalekites and the Midianites to teach Israel, you have gotten out of control. You have left the teachings of your fathers. You have started worshiping idol gods. And I'm going to allow you to be defeated until I get your attention. Because you're so impressed with yourself, I'm going to break your heart till I bring you to your knees so you will discover me. You were too successful, you were too powerful, you were winning on every front, and I had to show you something to humble you to make you submit. So God is using the Amalekites and the Midianites. He's not using the Israelites, even though the Israelites are his people. God uses your enemies. If you won't hear his word, that means you're carnal, then he has to speak to your circumstance. And he uses your circumstance because you ignored his word. And God uses your enemies to bring you in line. Israel beat up bad. Famine is in the land. Every time they grow a crop, the Amalekites and Midianites come out and kill it, destroy it. And now we come into a text where Gideon is hiding his harvest. I'm going to get back to that later. Have y'all ever hid your harvest? Sherwood, they phony. I'm gonna talk to y'all. Has God ever done something for you, given you a blessing? You was afraid to wear it. You was afraid to drive it, because you know how they are, and they can't handle what he did. When you step into the text, Gideon is hiding his harvest in the wine press. The Bible says he is threshing wheat in the wine press for fear of the Midianites, because if they find out that they got any kind of harvest, they're going to take that too. It's a hard thing to live around haters. It's an uncomfortable reality when you have to dumb down how bright you are, so because you're around somebody so insecure that they can't handle the brilliancy of your intellectual capacity, and so you got to go into hood talk. Yo, you in the boardroom talking about, yo. Because if you appear too bright, often the person who hired you, how could you pick me and then want me to be stupid? I'm just asking, I don't know. But the person who picked you often hates you, or the people around you, they were after his harvest. And so he's trying to cultivate his harvest, and he's down in the wine press, threshing wheat. Lord, I can stay there all day. I can't tell you how many times I had to put my wheat in the wine press. I better not wear that. I better not drive that. I better not say that. Beverly said, where we gonna meet? No, let's not meet at the house. We gonna meet at Papa Do's. Because if I thresh my wheat in the open, where my blessed people holler at you for? Holler at you. You got a new house, but you can't tell your cousin Joe. So you act like you leasing. I'm talking about threshing your wheat in the wine press. And there he is threshing his wheat in the wine press, because Gideon sees himself as a farmer. He's raised wheat. He has a harvest. He thinks that's who he is. And he's down in the wine press, harvesting, but fussing. Now look at this. Here's the strange thing. He's winning, but his people are losing. And inequity in your sociological environment creates a painful experience, because the people who love you don't love what you got. And the people who love what you got don't love you. Oh. And now you got a little bit of wheat, but you got to get down in the wine press. And he's threshing his wheat in the wine press. You understand himself to be a farmer. And he's angry. He's angry because he never met the God of the Red Sea I preached about last week. But he heard about it. His grandma and him. Medea and them. They told him about the God that delivered the children of Israel across the Red Sea and brought them through on dry ground and delivered them up safely on the other side. But he sees no, millennials, he sees no relationship with traditional religion and where he is in his life. And he's mad about it. He says, where is the God of our fathers? I'm through with that stuff. It don't work.
If it worked like Grandma had said it worked, how come the Amalekites and the Midianites are killing our people? So I have concluded ain't nothing to this. If God was this good, why aren't you helping me? About every 100 comment I get on social media is some version of this. That's nice what you said, Red, but if God was all of that, why am I? Hold on. Let me tell you, let me stop and answer the question so you don't have to write this. This week. I'll make this simple. God will not overrule your choices. It is easier for you to be angry at God than to take responsibility for the mistakes you made that brought you into the situation that you were in. And by the way, you never asked him before you made the choices that you made. But now he gets the punishment for the choice you made. And you're never going to get out until you take responsibility. Oh, I will get some nail on that. God, hear you just in time. I'm going to need a lawyer. And he doesn't know that while he's complaining about needing deliverance and where is God, and he is looking for God, that God is looking for him. And the Bible says that the angel of the Lord sat down by the winepress. Now we got the angel of the Lord sitting down by the winepress. We got Gideon, who thinks he's a farmer in the winepress, threshing wheat. I need to underscore that the winepress is a place of transition. I need to underscore that the Lord has you here this morning because you're in the middle of a transition. And anytime you're in transition, every emotion in the world comes out of you. Anger and sadness and frustration and fear and doubt and strife and everything comes out of you because you're in an unstable environment. You've heard me talk about being with a weight trainer, being on a ball. I hate them balls. I hate them balls are demonic. They're from the devil. They're from the pits of hell. Give me a bench. Give me a bench, put me on something solid, and I can bear the weight. But they put you on the ball in an unstable environment because unstable environments make you activate core strength. Now you're in the threshing floor, it's an unstable environment, and he's having to activate core strength. And everything is coming out of him. And he's upset with God, and he's upset with the religion he's been taught. And he said, who's going to come and deliver us out of this mess? When are you going to get me out of this? This is your fault, God. It's always, when all else fails, blame God. Just blame God. The woman thou gave me. Remember that with Adam? I'm in this mess you gave unto me. That was a subtle way of saying, it's your fault. Not I ate the fruit. Not I ran out on it. Not I cheated. Not I haven't worked in 2 years. No. The woman thou gave me is your fault. Don't do it. Don't do it. I will do it. Conviction is good for the soul. It's going to be all right. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. You're going to make it. And I want to say, he's trying to figure out, why doesn't God work the way I told him to? And isn't that what most of us are trying to figure out? Why doesn't God work the way I told him to? The way I expected him to? The way I wanted him to? Why for you. God is not on your payroll. God doesn't have to listen to you before God is God. And the angel is just checking him out. The angel is just sitting by the well watching his food. I don't guess I should have said that. I don't know whether you can say that on Sunday morning. Well, it's out there now. He's watching this young man. He's watching him go through what the wheat is going through. The wheat is being beat down to fruit. All the chaff is being beat away so that the wheat falls to the ground. And whenever God puts you in an uncomfortable situation, He's sifting you. What matters, what doesn't matter, what's real, what's not real, what counts, what doesn't count, who I can have, who I can live without. Where my real people at? Holler at you for. You go through this experience where you get stuck in this wine press and He starts shaking away stuff that you thought you had to have. And it's uncomfortable, and it's painful, and it's brutal, and it's barbaric, and He's beating me like wheat in the wine press, away from the crowd, trying to get me down to my core values, trying to fix me in my roots, trying to get me together where it matters, not in my image. He's not tinting my picture for Instagram, enhancing my accessories, accentuating my positives. He is beating my eye in because He is beating the wheat in the wine press. I've talked to you today because the Lord assured me that I would get to talk to people today whose wheat is being beaten in the wine press. And if that's you and you're here today, I want you to know that you're not in there by yourself. I want you to know that God has sent an angel.
Want a reason to try Zaxby's new chicken finger tacos? We'll give you two: Chipotle Ranch and Avocado BLT.
Down to the wine press to help you make sense out of this time in your life. Because sometimes life doesn't make sense. How could you bless the Amalekites and the Midianites and not me? Where is the God that I hear about on Sunday morning? Where is He on Monday? Where is He in this unemployment line? Where is God in this divorce? Where is God when I'm HIV positive? Where is God? And I'm being beat in places I can't talk about. I'm being beat in the wine press. I'm down in something, being beaten. And waking up in the morning talking about, welcome to JCPenney's. Good morning, may I help you this way? Anything you need? Or Oh, I'm so glad I can help you. And all the while I'm smiling for people, I'm being beat in the wine press. Now y'all tell me, did I hear from God this morning? The wine press is the place where the grapes find out that they're meant to be wine. The wheat is being beaten so that it may become bread. And what's going on in the wine press with the wheat is going on in the life of Gideon, who understands himself to be a farmer. And the angel is sitting on the side watching him do to the wheat what God is doing to him. Only instead of Gideon beating the wheat, God is using the Amalekites and the Midianites to beat his wheat too. Only his wheat is us. Trying to get bread out of wheat. Trying to get wine out of grapes. Trying to get Gideon to discover who he is. So the angel says to him, I'll finish this. God bless you. He said, you got jokes. The angel in his greeting creates disruption. He says to Gideon, hey, mighty man of valor, you're a warrior. What? I'm just a brother of a JOB trying to make a living down here in this world, trying to deal with some stuff, trying to get paid this minimum wage so I can get some money and go back and feed my hungry kids and buy some back and stuff. I'm not one of them people. Am I? Could it be possible? One of us has got to be wrong. Because I think I'm a gardener and you think I'm a warrior. Why did you call me that? I am kind of attracted to you. I mean, be nice, but I'm from the smallest tribe. And I'm the youngest in the tribe. This is when we build up evidence to talk us out of dreams. Mm-hmm. We build evidence to dissuade us from going forward. He has rationalized. This is not no immediate thought. This is not like something you cough up off the top of your head. He has given this thought. I belong to the smallest tribe. I'm the youngest person. Don't expect much from me. Don't expect much from me. I'm a woman. Don't expect much from me. I'm a minority. Don't expect too much from me. I didn't finish school. Don't expect too much from me. My mom didn't raise me. Don't expect too much from me. I didn't have fun. We build up this story to support who we think we are. And they're the reasons that make us able to cope with the limitations. And it gives us somebody to hate. That's what I like about it. That's what I like about it. Gives somebody to hate. If you'd have raised me, if you'd have stayed home more, if you'd have loved me like you were supposed to love me, I wouldn't be like this. It gives me a license to hate you and blame you for why I didn't become. Oh, I told you they wasn't gonna like this now. When we were talking about this at the house, I told you this. And here comes a call, a high calling, a divine calling, a supernatural calling that has classified information about me that I don't have on myself. And the angel is speaking out of his knowledge of how I was designed, and I'm living out of my knowledge of what I grew up around. And I have to decide in this struggle which one of these entities is going to win this fight. What I grew up around or what I was created to be. Because one of them are going to determine what the trajectory of my future looks like. Who am I preaching to? You remember when me and June started that window siding company? You remember that? I got laid off from Union Carbide. Then he started the window siding company and did me a favor, hiring me to come in there. We was going to do like daddy. We was going to build a family business. And we opened up the windows inside the company. And we kept getting into trouble and ran out of money. And I ended up losing my car. And I didn't have no car because I was following his vision for my life. When I put my car up to get the business out, I did it because I love my brother, and I did it because I wanted us to win. I did it because I wanted us to succeed. But I also did it because I didn't know I was me. Had I known I was me, Jan, I would have stepped right over top of the window inside the company. Gideon is in the wine press because it is possible not to know who you are, who you really are at your core, at your